morning. My name is Karen A. in Jerusalem. This is the Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast. We bring together fellows from all fellowships with all addictions, all afflictions who have found recovery through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, many of them working our big book and other literature. We're a family of fellow travelers on the path of recovery. You could check out many recordings and podcasts, recovery stories, panels, roundtables on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous at Reco12.com. You've got Justin B there with the flagship Reco12 podcast. We've got Noodle It Out with Nikki, where we noodle out different topics, different issues in recovery, and many speakers. So whether you're a gambler, a compulsive overeater, a compulsive shopper, a workaholic, an alcoholic, a Narcotics Anonymous, an Al-Anon, a codependent, and feel free to add anything else to the list. We are quite sure that you will find a voice that you resonate with here and someone that you identify with on our beautiful podcasts. It is my pleasure today to bring to you Laura. I'm so excited. I don't even know where Laura is based. She's going to tell us. I'm so excited to have Laura share her experience, strength, and hope with us today. Laura will speak for about 30 minutes. If you're done before then, that's not a problem. Pretty relaxed around here. And you could type your questions in the chat. Take advantage. Laura has a lot of experience, strength, and hope to share with you. You'll put your questions in the chat. I'll have some of my own, and we'll get some expertise here and experience, strength, and hope on recovery. One last thing, if you would like to speak on Reco12, on the Afro-Euro Reco12, or the American one in the American time zones, you could check out Reco12.com and upload a little snippet, or I'll put my number in the chat. You could reach out to me. You could reach out to Justin. We're always looking for new speakers from different fellowships. If you would like to contribute a seventh tradition, you could go to Reco12.com/support, and that is very helpful in covering the costs of our Zooms and other technical stuff. Without further ado, welcome, Laura. Thanks for joining us here today. You got 30 minutes.
Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I think it was Brindy that asked me to speak. Oh, it doesn't say muted. Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. We can't hear. Oh, Karen, you're muted. Can you hear me now?
Now, you're perfect. Sorry, it might have been me. Go for it.
Oh, gosh, don't tell me I'm perfect. It goes right to my ego, and then God is not there.
No,
okay.
You're perfect. God made that way. So am I. Well,
okay. Oh, my gosh. So, Brindy, I'm pretty sure it was Brindy who asked me to speak. Karen, thank you for doing this. And wow. So, I'm Laura. I started it. So, I'm an alcoholic, compulsive eater, codependent, Al-Anon, and whatever they call. I don't really get what they call themselves. We call ourselves. And then Rabbi Twersky once told this guy in a meeting I went to, and then he said, after you say all that, say, and beautiful and worthwhile person. So that was many years ago. And when he first started saying it, this guy, I would cringe. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so queer. And I think it's because those words just didn't feel like they didn't resonate with me, I guess, and which is really just ego because God created me. So who am I to judge, So I am a beautiful and worthwhile person. My sobriety date is June 21st, 1992. And my abstinence date, gray sheet abstinence, is December 31st, 1997. And I don't know. I am free from other addictive things, but I don't really know the dates for those. Like cigarettes, gum, and for today, Diet Pop, Coke Zero. Okay, so I'm here to tell you what it was like, what happened, what it's like today. I think I've listened to this podcast before, but I didn't remember, and I wasn't really sure what the format was, and just what a God thing is. I guess my topic today is God, number one, and the first God incidents that happened today was, so I went into Spotify and I found this Reco12. And the one guy I chose to listen to was a dual diagnosis alcoholic compulsive eater. And I was like, oh, wow. And I listened for a little bit. So I I think I'm just supposed to share my recovery with you. Okay, so what it was like was, I want to just share, when I got into program, they said I had a threefold disease: a physical allergy, a mental obsession, and a spiritual sickness. And if I took, let's say, sugar and white flour or alcohol or fill in the blank, I also used to go to NA for support. Like, drugs were just really, like, meaning pot and worse were never my things. Like, I didn't like getting high because then you got the munchies and then it was just a whole another thing. I had to figure out calories. So whatever. It's possibly a yet, but the point of what I'm saying is I went to NA and this guy said, a drink is a drug, is a cookie, is a girl, and or a guy. And I guess what that meant to me was whatever I'm using to stuff to put in my God box that's inside other than God is a problem. I mean, yeah, is a problem because it's never enough, like in terms of food, it's never enough. I'll just give an example. We used to go to my grandmother's, my bubby's Friday night for dinner, and we'd have like 7-course meal, and each course had a different thing. It wasn't like just chicken. It was like chicken and meat and so I would be stuffed up to here, go home and open our refrigerator when I was a kid, at my parents' house, and look for more food. There was like really no more room for the food left in me. I mean, to put into me. Okay, so that's what it was like. My father of blessed memory, he didn't really know about addiction. He would be just like, eat 3 moderate meals. So that was my one thing. And in terms of alcoholism, he would always say, Jewish people aren't alcoholics. So I was like, phew. Like my friend Jeannie Belfiore, she was not Jewish, so she was the alcoholic. Or when they got to college, they were the alcoholic, because in this program, I learned that there's this acronym called YET. You're eligible to. That means like I never ended up in jail. I never had a DWI, although I have gotten stopped before. I didn't get divorced, thank God. Not that that's a thing, but I wasn't even married. So what am I saying? But those things I could be eligible to do. If I kept drinking, and I guess if you're a drinker or you're a compulsive eater or a spender, you could fill in your own yets out there, that. And the good thing I figured out the other day about yets is like, they also could be in the positive. But okay, let me just share what it was like. I also think this had a lot to do with it. I don't know, my dad and his parents were survivors from the Holocaust. So that was like a whole nother thing. But I'm here to talk about alcohol and food. I used those things to like shut up the voices in my head, or for false courage to do the things I wanted to do, but I would never do them sober. I think I didn't really get what it meant to be human. Like growing up, I did think I had to be perfect, but it was hard for me because really my dad once said to me, Laura, is all what you think about is food. And it was all that I ever thought about. When I was in the food, it's all that I thought about. At breakfast, I thought about lunch, dinner, breakfast. And it was a vicious cycle. Okay, so that's what it was like. Once I started, I could not stop. Conversations in my head were, okay, I'll have 1, I'll have 2, I'll have 3, I'll have 4, I'll finish the box, I'll start on Monday. I guess if I was brought up in Israel, I would say I'd start on Sunday. That was like the physical allergy of the food. And in terms of drinking, I don't know. I first of all, because I remember thinking about it in high school. How are Jewish people not alcoholics? Like, how is that not possible? Like I knew I got drunk, and I certainly got sick. And I remember thinking to myself after the first time I got really sick, that night I was probably like, or the next day, oh, I'm never going to do it again, And then I remember waking up and being at the mall with my friend and thinking to myself, wow, I wonder if I lost any weight from all that vomiting, And I thought, oh, I'm never drinking again. And then as the next weekend, came closer, I remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to try that again. So I basically, I was a big isolator. I would say I am a big isolator, but I was a very big isolator. I hung out a lot in my bedroom and in front of the refrigerator and, or in front of the TV, or I was playing sports. Yeah, that was it. Now, I went to college and I lost weight in college because I did. And my drinking career certainly progressed. I don't know. I'm a little cheap. So I would always think 4 beers. If I drank more than 4 beers, it was too expensive. So I wouldn't drink more than that. And once my tolerance started getting, I thought, too high, I would stop drinking for a while, but I never thought about not drinking. I guess I just didn't have the tools of how to live, I did have a job, obviously it was in a pizzeria, whatever. Okay, so that's what it was like. I had really no ability to talk about my feelings. I didn't even know what I was feeling, unless it was probably anger or rage, or utter sadness, and giggling. Okay, so that's what it was like. I went to college, I came home, and in the podcast, the one I listened to, he said, people were moving forward in their careers or beginning a career. And I was still I went to school to become a teacher. I would make decisions on very limited information and very limited decisions on my life, like going to college, just to get them over with. I couldn't tolerate the anxiety of making a decision. I think it started from going to restaurants, not that we went to so many restaurants, but going to a restaurant and having to order something oh, I'll just get what my dad gets. I think that goes with perfection, because maybe I was scared I'd get the wrong thing. I don't know what it was, but just to make a decision. Oh, good. So that's leading into recovery. So at this point, I don't know, I'm 21, 22. After college, I graduated. I came to Israel for a year. That's where I am right now, Ramat Beit Shemesh. And I came to Israel for a year, and okay, so I came home. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. It was really hard to get a job. However, I don't know if I really wanted to get one. I had a lot of anxiety about it. So I substitute taught. And I just want to say, if you ever are having issues or you have issues with low self-esteem, substitute teaching is probably not the job you want to get, because I just feel like it's a given that they're going to be bad or mean to you or what it is. It's not a reflection of, I mean, obviously I had some responsibility there, but it's like putting myself in a place where it wasn't like, oh, Miss Freeman, we love you. You're the best. Yes, we'll do whatever you want. It wasn't like that. Okay, so I wasn't moving forward in my life. I guess my parents, I don't even know how I ended up at Jewish Family Services. You know, I was talking to this therapist and it was nice, whatever. And then like she brought up like months before, oh, we should do a drug inventory just to see if drugs, or meaning alcohol, are a problem for you. And oh gosh, the time's going so fast. I want to go into recovery, but this is important. So
got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Reco12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
You're good. You're good. It's all okay. You've got 12 more minutes. It's a long time.
Okay, so she said,
I need to go over. We're not strict around here.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Okay, so I went to this lady and she said, okay, we're going to do a drug inventory test. And I just didn't talk about it. I just didn't say yes or no. Like in my family, that's how we dealt with things. We didn't really talk about things. Like I didn't tell my parents, oh, I'm feeling so anxious about going to college and I don't really know what I want to be or do. And I know I like kids, but like, and then they could have given me feedback and then I could have come, like, no, I just knew I liked kids and I had to go to college. So I picked a school not in Ohio. So I'd be away from everyone. And I became a teacher because that was the only thing in my head at that point that people that like kids do. Okay, so now back to where I was. The drug counselor said to me, so I just pretended I didn't hear her say it, you know? And so months go by and finally she said, okay, next week we're going to do the drug inventory. And I remember going like, and being like flipping out, like, oh my God. So I did the drug inventory and then the drug counselor came in and she said, now this is a program of self-diagnosis. Like no one really tells us, no one really can tell me that, oh, I'm an alcoholic. They might say, oh, well, if you are like this, you might want to consider that you are, but no one, this is a self-diagnosed disease is what I'm saying. But the drug counselor, after I took the test, she was able to diagnose me as a beginning to moderate stages of alcoholism. And then my journey of 12 steps, the 12 steps and the big book and AA and Gray Sheet and OA and, well, I'll say OA and Gray Sheet and several other programs happened. And so the negotiations began and she's like, well, you know, you have to go to AA. And like, I decided to go to OA because it seemed like a little like less bad. And in my head, I just wanted to be a good girl. I just wanted to be good. Like whatever it meant to be good, that's what I wanted to be. So it seemed like food was a little more better than alcohol, which is ridiculous. Because I learned I have a threefold disease and it doesn't care. You know, this disease doesn't care if you're white, Black, Jewish, this, that. It's really a disease that wants us dead. So I went to one OA meeting and I didn't really hear any recovery. It doesn't mean it wasn't there. It just means I didn't hear it. I mean, I didn't hear a solution. I went to a meeting and heard what I was doing in my bedroom. So I'm like, why should I go to those meetings? I could do it by myself and I don't have to travel. then I started going to AA, and like she negotiated. So I ended up going to AA, and I got a sponsor. Well, she gave me a month to get a sponsor. And I remember day 29, I went up to this lady and I'm like, oh, will you be my sponsor? And she's like, oh, I'd love to, but I have too many already. But you could, I have a sponsee for you. Now, I guess each person has their own story. It's taken me a long time to get for this program to go intellectually from my head into my heart. So that's what it was like. I got involved in AA. I would go to meetings and cry. I remember once my mom said, are you ever going to wear makeup again? And I'm like, no, it just all comes off anyway. So I went to AA. I stopped drinking and I got some connection with God. I didn't even know. The truth is, I wasn't brought up religious, but we were observantly reformed. Like that's what we were. And I didn't really even know so much about the religious. I didn't have a connection with God other than, can you get me this? Can you give me that? That kind of like a Santa Claus, if you will, kind of relationship. So what it was like, what happened, I got involved in program. Then I did start going to OA and I worked it like I worked college, like kind of through osmosis. And now I just want to break out of what it was like, any kind of thing. This program is a program of action. And I think in the beginning, all the actions I could take were just getting to meetings, getting in the habit of getting out of my house and going somewhere else and listening and not feeling alone. Working the steps, I did to the best of my ability, but wow, I held on. Like it was very hard for me to let go and let God. So eventually, let's just say I got involved in Gray Sheet, this food program where we weigh and measure our food 3 meals off a day, 3 meals a day off the Gray Sheet with nothing in between but black coffee, tea, and diet soda. And we avoid foods that trigger the phenomenon of craving. So it's not like I ever have to, once I started Gray Sheet in 1997 or 98, January 1st, 98, I didn't have food thoughts. And it was amazing. And so I went to meetings. I would go to meetings. I went to meetings in Hebrew. After a year of living in Israel, I moved to New Jersey and I would go to New York for meetings. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even understand what they were saying. But so what am I saying is that this is a program that works. If you're here, like, I just feel like it took me there. It says sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. This program works if we work for it. It's a program of action. I remember I used to go to meetings in Jerusalem, AA meetings, and the guy, I don't know if I should mention his name. He said, 2 things I remember. He said, 1, the chapter in the big book is into action, not into thinking. And he said, if you ever want to keep something a secret from an alcoholic, put it in the big book. So I just want to say this line saved my life in terms of food. And I would have to say also drinking. It says the only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. Okay, entire abstinence. Now, wow. Okay, so what it's like today is I feel like I'm more compassionate with myself. It took a very long time for me to admit that I was or I am a beautiful, worthwhile person. Emotional sobriety to me is way harder than the physical substance, because after a while, like I learned, I came to the program also in the beginning to learn how to get sober. Dry people, dry places. You don't want a haircut, you don't go to the barber shop, right? If that's what they say. So why would I go to a bar? And like, because I was such a high bottom drunk, I always thought, oh, I'm not that bad. Like I also had, oh, I'm not that bad. So like, I don't have to work the program as hard as everyone else because I'm not that bad. So I think I really thought I just didn't trust myself. Forget about God. I think I didn't trust myself to know that I was doing the best I could at the time. So I'm fast forwarding my life. Thank God. Like, I think I just wanted to avoid emotional sobriety. To me, like, oh, I'm sober and I'm abstinent. That's enough. I mean, it wasn't enough, but it seemed like I didn't have enough energy to do anything else because I also had to be an adult and have a job. Oh, that's what it was like. It took me all my energy to be sober and abstinent and go to work and get my laundry done and go to meetings. Like, just seemed like very heavy. So the bottom line is COVID happened and I didn't have to go anywhere. And I gave up Coke Zero for the last time, I hope. And I drank it like I was having a drink. Like, I don't remember drinking. You know, they say we drank for the ease and the effect. I drank Coke Zero because it was that or kill my son. I mean, not really kill him, but like, and I had to really learn about emotional sobriety and stop pointing the finger. So I think COVID was like unfortunate. Of course, I'm not like saying, oh, I'm so happy for COVID. Yes, people passed away and it was tragic. For me, in recovery, it was a godsend because it led me into taking more action. Okay, so I guess I have more to say, but I guess I just want to say my last surrender really has been pointing the finger out, because they say when you point one finger out, there's three pointing back. And I'm really good at pointing the finger out. I'm getting a little better at it, but I'm really good at saying, like I'm what they talk about in the big book. Like I had a hard time with step 3. And I only realized that like 30 years later, 20 years later, I don't know. Like, because I'm like, yeah, if you would just drive normally, be nice in line and like line up like we do in the United States or whatever the fill in the blank is, if you like, I gave away a lot of power. I can't control these people. Like hardly myself. And so the topic was God and the solution is God. Trusting on him and knowing that he will supply what I need. Yes, I have to take the action, but the results are up to him. And I just will end it with this. Like in terms of the food, like Gray Sheet is like a no matter what, like AA, no matter what. You don't drink whether your tushy falls off or it turns to gold. It's like that in our food program. And the greatest thing is I've had no matter what's when I didn't have what I needed. And when I needed it, the food, like my higher power, like brought the food. So like, yes, we know how it works through the 12 steps and meetings and prayer. And then there's, I think, a magic that I would be remiss to say that I know how it works. I just know that as long as I'm staying sober and not eating no matter what and trusting God, that, that there's a solution and I could live through whatever pain I'm going through. And, and enjoy life too. Like not just like get by. So, I think, I don't know. I think that's it for right now. Karen?
Yes, thank you. You seem like you were in the middle of a sentence there.
Oh. Well, it was too long ago. I think I forgot. Just that as long as I trust God and clean house and don't use no matter what, It's either that, like, it says in this literature, like, well, if you do these behaviors, are you going to drink again? Well, we can't say yes, but we can't say no. And eventually, like, I'm like, why? That's what I wanted to say. I want to end with, like, I came to AA not being that bad, but I had a little humility. I remained teachable, that, like, if I'm part of this group and they say don't go to a bar until, like, you're spiritually fit or you have a reason for being there. In the beginning, I had no business being there, but I'm like, oh, I'll just get an iced tea, an iced tea or a Diet Pop. People said, yeah, I did too. And then I drank. So I did it twice. And then I'm like, if I'm part of this group, I need to follow the suggestions, So I guess now I think I'm done. And thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Your share was really beautiful, really inspiring. Your energy is just so amazing. Just really recovery. Would anyone like to come in and add a minute? I wrote some down myself. Unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, fine. So I will go ahead and jump in. Sorry, there's some hammering here in the background. Laura, can you talk? You spoke about the counselor you worked with and the kind of alcohol, discovery you did there in Jewish Family Services. Can you talk about your personal rock bottom when you realized that, turning to a higher power was going to be the only opportunity, that you were beyond?
Oh, wow. Karen, can I ask it? Question? Yeah, I heard your question. I was thinking, can I answer it in terms of in terms of the food?
Anything you want, whatever's in your heart.
Okay, so I'm going to answer it in terms of the food, because that was the alcohol, I don't remember exactly, but with food, I think various different types of before I got to a 12-step program, that God was part of it. It was like, follow the diet. And as I was saying before, I thought I was good if I followed the diet and bad if I couldn't. Like, if I ate 1,200 calories, I was amazing. And if I didn't, then I was bad. And I learned in the program, we're not bad trying to get good. We're sick. I have a disease. I'm just trying to get better one day at a time. And what happened was, I was in Israel at I was at a restaurant, and I was doing some program that wasn't no matter what. So if you went to a restaurant, you could eyeball it. And I was at, like, I remember the Village Green, and I eyeballed my 2 cups of salad and 4 ounces of protein and whatever it was. Like, I thought this isn't a meeting, so I could say food. I thought now, just listen, this is important for newcomers. Do not compare, but identify. That's what I learned at my first AA meeting. They say, don't compare, identify. So I don't know. I thought 4 slices of bread would be like a logical, or a serving for a dinner. I left the place going up and down and up and down and having extra. And I don't know, I probably had a loaf of bread by the time I left. And I remember walking. This was the emotion. I don't know if it was that I thought, I don't know if I thought like only a spiritual, I was checking the previous year. I was checking out Gray Sheet. Was it for me? And I was following directions, and people said go to meetings and talk to people, and I was doing that. And I remember walking to the bus, thinking, if I get back in the sugar, I am dead. And so I think either that day or that morning, no, it must have been that night. I got home and called my friend, and I told her my food. And at that point, I surrendered. I prayed for the willingness to be willing. I just knew, though, that if I ate sugar, I was dead, because that was my experience. And I knew I couldn't control it. And I had to surrender to a power greater than myself. And I guess in the beginning, or at the beginning of the end, was the Gray Sheet, and I'm not saying that was God. It was a power greater than me. And by being abstinent with the food, I'm able to use like God to fill that hole. Sometimes it's other things, but I ultimately try to go to God, depend on Him for that spiritual fulfillment rather than just feeling stuffed with the food. I don't go to the fridge today looking for answers, like unless it's like, oh, what am I making for dinner? Okay, I hope that answered your question.
Well, I love that answer. It's like, I remember also when I was started my journey through OA and now another fellowship, it's like when I wasn't, all in the food, I all of a sudden got out of life. Like all of a sudden, I'm going to Pilates, I'm going shopping. Okay, yeah, the big book talks about this, when they stopped drinking booze and started chain smoking. I want to get into all that, secondary addictions that might not be quite as harmful. But it's like all of a sudden, I'm looking to do stuff with my daughter. I'm looking to take a trip to the beach. I'm thinking of, traveling, but it's like when I'm just thinking about my next meal, I'm not available to do that. So I really relate to what you're saying. I really relate to what you're saying. Okay, we have some hands up. Golda H, would you like to come in?
Hey Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Reco12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Reco12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, so much for your qualification. It was beautiful, really. And I, of course, identified with many. So my question is, can you tell today, I don't mean this minute, but in general, can you tell that your disease, either in any form, is progressing? Do you find that you have to do more or increase your service, or do you find suddenly considering doing something you never would have considered using? I don't know like what, but can you tell your disease is progressing? Do you ever get fed up with calling in food or anything like that?
Oh, wow. Golda, first of all, thank you. That was a good question. I would say yes. Like, I mean, not regarding the food part, but I see that, like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I think I've been watching like a little much. I see it's all, I don't know. I'm such an addict that it's like either I watch or I don't. Like, I don't know how people do things in moderation, to be honest. But, so yeah, like, I guess thank you for articulating that. Like, yes, the answer is yes. And, yes, yes, and I want to say yes, and like I feel like you've talked about the antidote, like up your service, up your game, Laura, right? Like today I do stuff like I'm glad you asked that question. Like, so today I might watch some shows, let's say, um, and I go to meetings and I'm abstinent and I'm sober and I have sponsees and I make food for this. Like, I'm not such a, like, whatever. I'll make like cookies for the soldiers, or, you know, there are things that I do that, like, it's just like, I feel like in the past, in early recovery, I use this program. This is like I'm just adding on to your question. I use this program to beat myself up. Like, you know, we have a moment of silence in some meetings for the still sick and suffering, in and out of the room. I suffered for a very long time in the room. If you're suffering, you don't have to. Like, this is my experience. You don't need to suffer. You know, speak to someone. Like, I had such an ego. Like, you know, people for years said, "Oh, go to Al-Anon, go to Al-Anon." I'm like, "Oh, I can't go to another thing." Thank God for Al-Anon. I think it saved my life. I went to, I don't know, I never really found ACA meetings, but I did some of that, because there was a part of me that I felt was so broken. And I had a sponsor, God bless her, and her memory. She had a good message. And it was hard to hear sometimes, but she had a good message. And I don't know, with God's help, that little injured, you know, they talk of psychobabble, whatever babble, but I believe in it. That little injured part of me, like my soul, let's say, it was so hurt and so scared, that, like, even to do the work, I was just like, could you just tell me, like, what the answer is? Like, could you get, like, my therapist, that I don't have one now, but like in the past, or my sponsor would ask me questions. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Could you just give me options? And then I would, you know, pick one that sounded that it was like the right answer. So what I'm saying is, if you're still sick and suffering, you're not alone, and it's not like you're doing anything wrong, and there's nothing wrong with you, maybe other than just surrendering to God, and to another person how you're feeling. I don't know. Like, I ate and I drank to avoid. Like, I'm going to end in this. I'm sorry that I don't even know if this answered your question, Goda, but like, I couldn't admit, when I was at the therapist when I was younger, my brother got married when he was 22 and I was 24. And she said, "Oh, Laura, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for him." She's like, "Oh, you don't feel jealous?" I couldn't admit that I felt jealous. Like, nice Jewish girls don't get jealous. Nice people don't get jealous. Well, guess what? We do. And we don't act on it. I could admit today when I'm feeling jealous, and I could ask God to relieve it. You know? So I just want to.
This is fabulous, Laura. I actually want to dive deep here. I really want to dive deep on being in recovery, being in the rooms and still suffering. I personally really identify this. Even when I went through the steps, I don't know, the first time about 5 years ago, I did it, you know, for quota issues. Although
I only heard you say you wanted a deep dive, but then I'm not hearing. My
Can I be heard now?
Yeah. Yes.
amazing. Sometimes improve. Now, I want to deep dive here about suffering in the rooms, because I really identify with that using the 12 steps, using the step 4 for self-flagellation. I also, as a nice Jewish girl with a never-ending guilt complex, I remember I had this non-Jewish sponsor in the UK. Someone needs to mute themselves. Gloria, maybe mute yourself there. Laura, can you mute yourself, please? Oh, let me see if I can mute her.
Oh, Karen, you're muted if you wanted to be
Now I
talking.
muted. I thought I muted her. Okay. Anyway, so, and my sponsor was like, this is not a program of self-flagellation. She just thought I was so weird, I think. And I was really in a lot of unmanageability. I just had a second marriage fail miserably, and I was a wreck. And she was just like, this is not a program of self-flagellation. And that's funny. Like, she wasn't an amazing sponsor. And, I just kept going and kept, working the steps of the big book. But it's like, today I realized, Bill, Dr. Bob, Ebby, this is like a few hour thing, realize you're hopeless, get on your knees, realize something higher could help you, realize you've been, or if you're Jewish, and don't get on your knees, realize you've been brought to your knees, as they say, unmanageable, pray for a higher power, get rid of what isn't working and go help others. Like we get a sense of our grosser handicaps, the big book says, and that's really important. So, if you're really suffering and really in pain and in recovery, first of all, you're probably not sponsoring. You may be working an 11-step program. I will surmise that you're not sponsoring or doing service, because an 11-step program won't have you feeling good. If you're not working with others, you're not getting no pun intended, but like the big somebody with a cherry on top. You're not getting the trophy here if you're not working with others. By the way, I'm available to sponsor all addictions, all afflictions. Whoever's interested, I'll put my number in the chat. I am available now to sponsor. You want to be out there. You want to be helping others. You want to be sponsoring. You want to do service. And most of us will not make it. But again, if you're in that place of, vilifying yourself, self-flagellating, your character defects, we got to get disciplined. It all breaks down to where we selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and afraid. Everything falls into one of those categories. And get moving, get working with others. Don't use your inventory as something to put off, getting the holy grail, getting the good stuff, right? We don't want to, and I'm aggressive and I'm, irritable and I'm violent and I'm egotistical and if you're smart like me or probably like Laura, you probably know a million more adjectives because you did well on your SATs and just no, selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, afraid. Don't be too smart and get into action. Less brains, more action. I want to take the next person. I see Gold. I don't know. You have your hand up again, but let's go with Dolly Bohr. Dolly Bohr, can you unmute yourself and come in with
Hi, family. Thank you for meeting, for sharing. Sister, do you want to say a little more about your experience with high power, with God, with contact, how that go? Thank you in your recovery. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, Reco12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word-of-mouth support, keeps Reco12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at reco12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Reco12 Spearhead.
Thank you, Dalibor. I'm so glad you're here. It's so great to see you. So I think up until recently, my relationship with God was like, I still thought I was God. And I'm like, okay, here is the script. Here is your memo for my day today, and let's do it. And I don't know, God never handed that script out to, like, I don't know, my husband doesn't seem to need my script. He's like, thank God, pretty intuitive to my script, let's say. But let's say my son and people around me, they do not know. So for a very long time, right? Like, I was telling God what was to be done, or it was like that, or I would be like sitting around, like waiting, like I'm not getting any memos. Like, I don't have a private WhatsApp with God. I have no memos, no email. Like, I'm not getting any directions. And it says in the big book, I wish I remember exactly where, like something like, we don't just sit around waiting for, I think it's in the Dr. Alcoholic Addict. I don't remember where. So today, what do I do? Because I don't know, prayer I do. Meditation, I think, is above my pay grade unless it's a guided meditation. I found tapping helps me connect to my body, and then I could hear God. Also two-way prayer. I've kind of like, I don't know, there's a How to Listen to God book. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but by what's his name, Wally P. Like just emptying my brain and saying, like step 11, pray for knowledge of his will and the power to carry that out. So like, I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, I think, well, I know what I'm thinking. I'm waiting to be like this. I can't be a speaker on AA because they are all funny. They all have X, Y, and Z, and they're all very linear. I'm like the least linear person. I'm not like, say that was my goal, to be a speaker on the circuit. But like, I don't want to speak. Like, I can't speak and just show up, like, I don't want to have to do anything. And this is a program of action. So I guess what I'm saying is now, I don't think this, what God wants from me is rocket science. Like, if there's dishes in the sink, I could do them. And I've learned tools in the program that I use sometimes and sometimes I don't to do them. Like, just like my first 4 step, they're like, just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. I'm all about into thinking, and thank God this is a program of action. Like, I'll end with this. Like, so I don't know, like, it just says, I'll send you the part when I find it. It just says, we don't sit around waiting for what to do. We look for kind of what needs to be done and we do it. And, but like, I've timed myself. There could be 3 minutes worth of dishes in the sink, and I could go for at least 5 hours of why I'm not doing them. I don't think that's God's will in my use of of time. So I guess I hope that answered your question a little bit.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Who would like to comment? Go.
Could I just say one little thing? Or we'll wait for someone who hasn't spoken.
No, go for it. Just go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, to add to what Karen said and what Laura's saying, I just want to say that it's very, very, it's very, very important in living one day at a time. For me, it's been really important to stay in 10, not just 11 and 12. To me, they are a 3-pronged magic formula. Like, if I just do step 10, I'm examining my navel and doing nothing. But I've tried doing just 11 and 12 without really keeping an eye out for being dishonest, selfish, and that stuff. And I have burned out so hard on my codependency because I'm trying to save. I end up just being an ego in my service. And I end up, like Laura said, making God, this is how you should be fixing me and saving me. This is what I need you to do for me. So just keeping the humility of 10 of, am I disturbed? Yes. Am I disturbed right now? Really learning to notice. It takes a while, and it's still, I don't realize half the time I'm disturbed. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Laura, want to comment on that?
Yeah. I also want to say yes. Like now, I feel like a 10th step. Like I have my Al-Anon sponsor, she has me do this 10th step where it's amazing. If anyone wants, my phone number's there. If you want, I could share my experience with this, but it's, what am I feeling? Not like what am I feeling? And then how I can act differently. And then whatever, there's more, but it's just, I don't feel like I'm tearing my soul up. Like it's not my soul. I just wanted to say this. Like I once said to my sponsor, when my son screeches, it goes to the essence of my being. And she said, no, it doesn't. And I was thinking, well, yeah, it really does. But our big, let's say our neshamas, our souls, nothing can add to it. And I don't know, but nothing could take away. Nothing can, I'll speak for myself or anyone really. No one is so messed up that they can't have that God doesn't want them. God created us. He loves us. He loves us no matter what. So that's one thing. And the other thing, it was in the answer, like acceptance. I was a big butter. And this one guy says, buts will take us right out. So thank God I stayed in the program. But it says here on page 420 in the 4th edition, acceptance is the key to my relationships with God today. I never just sit and do nothing while waiting for him to tell me what to do. Rather, I do what is in front of me to be done, and I leave the results up to him. However it turns out, that is God's will for me. And it just took, for me, the hardest part was accepting life on life's terms. Well, one of the hardest parts, because I have way better plans. Like if I were God, it would not look like this. Well, guess what? And by taking these steps, I am not God. And it's just in these last couple months or year of really getting that I am not God and just surrendering to his will is so much better. My life has never been so good. That's all.
Amazing. And Laura, will you go ahead and put your number in the chat so that people can reach out to you? I certainly will want to be talking to you about the Big Book, Gray Sheet, and Al-Anon. You're going to be hearing from me, that's for sure. So thank you. Anyone else have one question? Going once, going twice. Okay.
Can I share?
Well, absolutely. Go ahead. Who's that?
Hi, it's Bracha. Hi, everyone. I'm in Jerusalem, and I'm a very multiply addicted person, and definitely an alcoholic and compulsive overeater and many other things. And this has been a wonderful meeting. Thank you. It's so inspiring, Laura. And I don't even know what meeting I'm on because Laura posted this, but I don't know if it's AA or what I'm on, Alan. But yeah, it was very inspiring, Golda and Karen and Laura and everybody. And I'm just going through a lot, and I want to turn it over. I love doing the 10th step. I'm using Golda's method, and it's a real eye-opener, and it brings me a lot of peace, a lot of inner peace. And right now I need inner peace because my landlord told me I have to move. after 10 years in this apartment, and I might be making a major move back to America. So I really need God. I really need everything you said, Laura. Just keep close to God. Keep asking God, what's my next step? What do I need to pack? Where am I going? The kids kind of want me back to America. It looks like I'm going in that direction. Well, it's the unknown is scary, but I have God. I have the program. Thanks everybody for listening. I've got to keep coming back.
That is so perfect. You know, we usually just do questions, and I was thinking if one's late, even though I'm not so strict, and I think that's so special because that really relates back to Laura's topic of higher power, God. You know, really, Brachla, asking him for the next right step in everything: where to live, what house, what to pack. You know, just stay close to him and perform his work well, as our big book says. And we're so glad you joined us. We're a minute over the hour, so Laura, I'm going to go ahead and ask to have you pray us out. I'll be getting off the phone, but if you want to stay on with all these amazing, intelligent agent and spearheads of God's everlasting creation, you are welcome to do that. So without further ado, will you go ahead and pray us out for the day?
Well, Karen, I just want to ask you, does that mean like the Serenity Prayer or that
Prayer of your choice?
Okay, so I don't know if this is a prayer. Maybe I'll do this little reading and then we could end with the Serenity Prayer. It's on page 100 and
amazing. We love it.
Okay, I had a sponsor that said read it in the first person, but I'll read it just how it's written. First full paragraph on 100. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. And with that, I have a friend, Frankie, who says, who are we not? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It works.
What meeting is this, Laura?
I don't know what it is.
The Reco12 meeting every Friday, 10 a.m. Jerusalem time, which is 8 a.m. GMT +2. Join us. Join us every week. All addictions, all addictions. And if you have a speaker you want to recommend, someone who has a powerful message, whatever fellowship they're in, Laura, send them my way. I don't know enough strong recovery people in Israel, whether the NA, CODA, AA, Al-Anon. Send them my way. I'd love to have more people here, especially in our country.
Okay.
And I love that we're twinning in the jean tops. That's kind of fun. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Love you all. Spread the light.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.